I take every December off. No client calls, no meetings, just deep work, rest, and maybe a little Netflix. This will be my 10th batch December, and it's one of the smartest business decisions I've ever made. Now, you may think you could never do that, but today I'm going to share why I do batch December, exactly what it looks like, and how I know you can create this kind of space in your own practice, whether it's literally December, another month, a week, or even just one day at a time. So by the end of this episode, you're going to have a new 5 step system to work on your business and not in it soon and love what you do more than ever before. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Establish Yourself podcast, the show that helps coaches and consultants get clear on how to talk about what you do, simplify your offers, and have more fun in your business and beyond. I'm Annie Franceschi, brand strategist, author, former Disney storyteller, and forever Muppet fan. I'm here to help you clarify your message, package your expertise, and streamline your systems to grow a business you actually enjoy. If you're ready for less confusion and more magic, it's time to establish yourself. I know you love more time to work on your business, but I also know it's one of the toughest things to find time for. That used to be my story too, until I got totally overloaded and I had to slam that stop button. That's how I inadvertently created the very first batch December. Back in 2016, after finally moving through my fears around self-promotion and being salesy, I booked more than 60 discovery calls in just a couple of months. That turned into a boatload of clients, and suddenly I had too many people I was working with and no systems to serve them well. I was like super behind, totally disorganized, and just like really afraid I was going to let people down. So I did something that felt wild at the time. I decided to close for the entire month of December to work on my business instead of in it. I spent literal weeks. It was like 160 consecutive hours. And at the end of it, I had systems that I still use to this very day. That's nearly a decade of ROI from just like one focus month. Of course, I fell in love with the concept of batch December, and that is why I've done it 9 times since. But the moral of the story isn't that you have to take December off. It's that if you create dedicated deep work time, you're likely going to do better, more profitable, and fulfilling work, not just more of it. And even if this December is packed, I know that you can design something similar to Batch December, something that works for your life and your business. So here's what I want to do today. I'm going to walk you through my 5-step batch model. This is going to help you nail down that time and make it as powerful and profitable as possible. Let's start with B, break the rules. People often ask me, how do you take December off? And the simplest answer really is, I choose to. Now, I know that can sound pretty radical, especially if you come from a corporate background or you are used to playing by the rules that you think you have to follow to be successful. But when you run your own practice, I think it's easy to forget that you are the one that makes the rules. And sometimes the most powerful thing that you can do is break them. Break the rules that you are following, the invisible ideas and limitations that you carried over from the job you had before or the business you had before. It's okay to build something new, and sometimes that's actually the best possible thing you can do. For me, the most transformational part of Batch December is this. I stopped waiting for permission. I realized that every time I delayed having space for myself, it was because I thought I had to be available. I had to say yes. I could not say no to a client. To this day, my dad, I can feel him wincing when I say that, even though he probably doesn't listen to this show because he can't find the podcast app on his phone. But all that said, like, how could you say no? And how can you not be available? But the truth is that I am really, at the end of the day, the one reinforcing those rules, the rules that aren't serving me. And back in December 2016, the day that I decided to break them, everything changed for me. I started to ask important questions like, what if I could run a more successful business by working less but smarter? What if resting could be a strategy? What if having fun was the right next move? What if the best possible thing I could do would be to take time off to improve my systems, think deeply, and reconnect to why I'm even doing this in the first place? That's exactly what happened. Taking this time every year is not about slacking. It's about setting yourself up to do better work, not just more work. It's about designing your calendar with you at the center. That is the potential of breaking the rules. You create space for new results and fulfillment like you've never experienced. So that's B. Break the rules. A, assign your time. Here's the truth. Your sabbatical does not have to be December. Okay. So don't panic if you're like, Annie, I can't possibly do that this year. It's okay. It doesn't have to be December. It doesn't even have to be a month. You get to choose the season and the structure that fits your business and your life. Let me give you some examples. One of my clients, Wendy Gates Corbett, she takes the last week off of every quarter. That adds up to a month over the course of a year, but it's spaced out in a way that works really well for her flow and the kind of reset she wants and how she does her client work. Another one of my clients, Marcy Rader, she builds in design days throughout her year. These are regular 1 or 2 day breaks. She might go away somewhere local to get away to like an Airbnb, and she does these in advance for her deep work and her strategic thinking. And for me, even, I don't only do batch December. I actually have no meeting Mondays and no meeting Fridays most of the year that I'm working. And so essentially, I have an average of 1 to 2 batch days per week. And that is actually how I am getting these podcast episodes done. I have that space, that mini batch rhythm all year long that gives me the space to write, create, and think more clearly. And those started after I set the tone with batch December. Your action here is to pick timing that works for you and then protect it. It could be a day, a week, a month, whatever it is. Assign on your calendar like you would for your most important client because you are. One of the very first things I do when I start batch December is I go in and I schedule the year ahead. So, like this year, I'm going to go into my calendar and go ahead and block batch December for 2026 and any sort of key vacation periods or things that I know are coming up that I'm going to need that deep work time. And this is really setting that intention, making sure that this time is assigned and valuable. I'm going to make sure that I have a date on my calendar that is protected for it. So, even if you cannot take December off this year, are there parts of December you could go ahead and block? Even if it's a day where the first thing you do is block some time in 2026, I would consider that an enormous win. So now that you have your time assigned and protected, what are you going to use that protected time on? That leads us to T. Think big picture. When you've assigned your sabbatical time, you want to be thinking about the best possible use for that. There's so much you could do in this time, but like what's worth doing and what should wait for another batch moment. This is where you're going to zoom out, look ahead, and decide what you actually want this time to be for, what would actually move the needle. After I've done the easy check the box of setting the next year's batch December, the second thing I do every year is I start by clarifying my goals, not just for the month, but for the year ahead. I'll be sharing more about that with you soon. But I do a lot of taking stock of how did the year just go? What do I want more of? What do I want less of? This helps me come up with what I call goal themes. So they're not like super detailed, crazy hard to meet specific goals. They are areas of focus that remind me what matters most to me, what I want more of, and what I want less of. This is where I really take stock and I don't do traditional goal setting, which I am not a fan of, and I know that it can be tricky to set goals. If goal setting feels kind of tough for you, I want to encourage you to save the date, January 5th. I've got something special coming up in 2026 that I'll be sharing with you soon, but I would encourage you to follow this little clue. Head on over to greateststorycreative.com/pop up for a little special surprise from me. Having that vision helps me back into what projects are really worth doing and time sensitive for this batch December or sabbatical time. For me, some years that has been things like building out new systems or writing a book. Other years, it's meant catching up on rest, spending a whole day watching Netflix, doing creative projects that fill my cup. This is truly sacred space for me. It's big picture thinking, it's deep work, deep rest, lots of fun, quality time with my family, whatever I really need most. That's what's going to bring the magic for the coming year. That's what I've learned in almost 10 years of doing this. Here are some ideas of ways you can spend this time once you've considered what it is you really want for next year. Documenting your processes and seeing where you can tighten things up, creating email templates for the things you've been sending over and over, reviewing your contracts, making sure that your boundaries are in place, starting a book. Maybe you can come up with a strategy or an outline, coming up with your content strategy for the year. Last batch December, a lot of what I did was set the strategy for this podcast, and it debuted on January 7th. So I spent most of last batch December actually batching the first 6 episodes. Could work on your offers, you could update your website, strategic planning, or like I said, you throw on your jammies, order some takeout, watch your favorite show, do and enjoy the things that you almost never have time for as an entrepreneur. We celebrate this freedom and flexibility, but how often do we cash in those tokens, right? So I want you to use this time to cash those in. The important thing is I decide up front what matters for this time. That sets the tone so I don't drift into reaction mode or use it to do all those little things that pile up in your inbox. Now, you may love the idea of deep work time, but could it ever work for your business? This is what I hear is like, Annie, that's amazing, but like it can never work for my kind of practice, or I have to be available to my clients. What if I lose revenue? What if somebody's pulling at me? Like, I get it. And here's what I want you to know. C, commit to the boundary. I want you to know that before my first batch December in 2016, I was a person who never had time to work on my business. I was hustling constantly. I had come from corporate America and I thought that the secret of success was working 50, 60 hours a week, and that things like marketing, updating my portfolio or my website, those just could not fit if I could take on a client. And so what would happen is I would work on vacation and it would take me away from my friends and my family. And I was afraid to turn down clients. But I got to tell you, the thing that brings magic from a sabbatical is committing to the boundary. Today and for the past almost 10 years, my December rules are super clear. I don't take any meetings. I don't do any consultations. I don't do any new client work. These are my boundaries, and my clients know this. And yes, objections will come up, and they totally have for me. Every year, a dream client will land in my inbox right at the end of November. And every year, I have to say, I would love to work with you. Absolutely. Let's do it early next year. And guess what? In my experience of doing this for more than a decade, this hasn't hurt my business. It's strengthened it and made it a lot more profitable. I can draw literal direct lines to my consistent 6-figure income and the thinking, projects, strategies, and reset time that I have taken in every single batch December and all that batch time I take during the year. Have I missed out on a couple projects? Had to say no to some people who came to me in November? Sure. But I know from the data that I've made significantly more money by holding the boundary than surrendering it when I was asked or expected to. Because here's the wildest thing that I never saw coming. Batch December has become an inspiring core part of my brand that my clients love. I've had literally clients defend me to their friends. Someone being like, wait, your website's not going to be done in December? What? And my clients sent back to her, don't you mess with Annie's batch December? That is super important time. I like never forgot that. My clients love it. They emulate it. I have a list going, I think, of 12 or 13 past clients who do some form of batch December because I set the example. My ideal clients tend to be the biggest fans and the biggest respecters of the boundary, but it only happened because I was brave enough to put it in place. Now, for a long time, I worried having boundaries like this would limit my options. Like, you take a whole month off, you can't have a yearly program, you can't have a membership, you can't have yearly clients. But all of those are assumptions that I have actually since debunked through experimentation. So I've baked Batch December directly into my business model. I do things like in my membership, the Establish Yourself Action Club, we meet 11 months of the year except December. It's on the sales page. It's fine. It's a big part of my brand. Everybody knows that. They know what they're paying for. They can join quarterly or yearly, and it's just fine. Everyone knows it, respects it, and they try to emulate it. One-to-one clients where I might have projects coming up, I just tell them. I communicate the boundary up front. I make sure it's in our agreement so that they know if we need to reschedule. Something that happens November might move to January. Not a big deal. I can count the number of times we've even been impacted on that, and maybe on one hand. And I have year-round clients in my retainer program, Magic Strategy Partner. These are folks that come to me for year-round polishing, strategy, advice, moving their businesses forward. We don't meet in December, and that's just fine. Instead, I give them a bonus hour, an hour they can use anytime throughout the year as things pop up. What I often find is that people are also busy in December too. They appreciate the break and they also appreciate the flexibility. So we don't have to subscribe to what we think we have to do. What we can do is to be considerate and creative with our offers. This is something I help people do when we work together in package or process. But I just really want you to know that you don't have to work all the time to do good work. More time and crazy hours does not always equal great output. And quite often, the opposite is true in my experience. Well rested, prepared people do better work faster, and they bring a joy to their clients that just is not possible when you are constantly fighting burnout. When you're clear about your boundaries and you communicate them early and consistently, people respect them. They plan around them. And look, if a prospective client does not get this or doesn't like it, that is cool. I would tell you not to work with them. Not every fish is your fish. If you want the time and you need this time, take it, hold it. It only works if you commit to the boundary. But when it works, it's awesome across the board for everybody involved. And speaking of awesome, we have come to the final part of the system, H in batch, and it's my favorite. Harvest the happiness. Reap the rewards. Y'all, Batch December is a top 10, if not top 5, business strategy for me. I've been able to have a 6-figure plus business for more than 7 years now, no matter what's been going on in the economy. And this sabbatical has been a huge factor in making that possible. Batch December is a huge part of my brand. It's inspired others, and it's continually made me a happier, more fulfilled entrepreneur and person. Every year, because of this, I get better and better fit clients. I enjoy the work I do more. I work less. I make more. I get more exciting opportunities coming my way. The business keeps growing in ways that feel aligned and joyful. Here's what I've learned. Revenue isn't always a straight line. Some years are up, some are steadier, but my fulfillment, that has been a straight line all the way up. Because every year I do Batch December, I take time to intentionally harvest happiness, time with my family, energy for what matters most, being present with my son and playing with him as he gets so big so fast, escaping down to Disney World, taking trips that light me up, enjoying the money I am actually making and not just earning, and not spending or enjoying any of it. What I find is that if you do this kind of deep work and you protect it, you're going to thrive more and more every single year. That is what you are harvesting. A life you actually want to live, a business you really want to run. It compounds, it's repeatable, it's sustainable, and that's success on your own terms. If you've loved what I had to share today, I've got a gift for you. I wrote my book, Establish Yourself, partially during Batch December. And I wrote all about it and shared a lot of systems and tools that I have used to brand, streamline, and grow what I've considered my greatest business. Right now, I want to give you the first chapter for free. That is the first 50 pages. You can grab it right now at greateststorycreative.com /read and download it right away to your Kindle or your e-reader so you can start this important work and feel supported in it. And I'd love to hear what you think. Let's quickly recap the batch method so you can start creating your own magical strategic sabbatical. B, break the rules. You don't need permission to do this. A, assign your time. Pick a season, a length, a time that works for you to do this. T, think big picture. Make sure to set a vision, clear goals, or goal themes that are going to guide how you spend the time so it's worthwhile. C, commit to the boundary. Know it's going to be okay, and it might even be better than ever before if you protect this time. And H, harvest the happiness. Don't forget to reap the rewards and to watch how your fulfillment grows year over year. Here is a quick win to put all this into action. Right after you finish listening to this, I want you to go open your calendar and block some time for you. Even if it's just one day to start, treat it as non-negotiable. Because remember, the perfect moment's not going to come on its own. You have to create it. But you got this. Hey, do you like surprises? The credits are about to roll, but just like a Marvel movie, stick around to the end for something I put in just for you. Thanks for listening to the Establish Yourself podcast. I'm Annie Franceschi, and if you're enjoying the show, it would mean so much to me if you follow it, leave a quick rating, or share it with a friend. And for free branding resources and more ways to work together, head to greateststorycreative.com/podcast. Now here it is, your moment of magic. April Mitchell is an award-winning game designer and mom to 4 kids. She got asked what it's like to balance being a mom with having ambition. And she said something to the effect of, look, I love what I do, and I love that I get to share my success with my kids. Because when I win, we all win. When I win, we all win. That's so good. That's sticking with me. It's how I like to think about my own identity, my own ambition, and my roles as a mom and a wife and a friend, but also even in my work. Because I like to think that when I win, my clients can win too. It's really all about what we choose. And I am so excited to dream up more ways that we can all win when I kick off my 10th batch December in just a few weeks.